heavy. I think if we want to do some deeper dives for those of you who remember the days when Tom Tierney used to school everyone in the Krebs cycle. This is about in that level of technicality. So I tried to, figuring it was dinner hour or after for a lot of folks, I tried to keep it a little lighter on the biochemistry. So we're going to start here with what is methylation? Other than a long word, methylation is a really important biochemical process that is happening in your body all the time, like literally millions and millions of times per second in a vast number of your cells. It is essential, and I will talk about this in a little bit more depth, for a huge number of bodily functions, and is something that is really, truly critical for our health. So let me just put this down here. There we go. That's better. So why is methylation important, and what are the things that it is contributing to in the body? This is a pretty good list right here. So DNA repair, we need to be able to do normal methylation to not only repair DNA, but to turn on and off genes as we need them to be functioning. For processes of detoxification, so methylation is really critical to supporting what your liver does in eliminating and processing toxins. Those are both toxins that you create internally as well as toxins that you encounter in the environment. It is a critical reaction for producing your neurotransmitters. So that's things like serotonin and dopamine, norepinephrine. And because it is so critical for production of neurotransmitters, it's very important for regulating brain health and has an impact on mood. Energy production, critical here as well, plays a role in mitochondrial function and in the production of our energy currency of the body, which is ATP. Also regulation of the immune system. So methylation plays a role in immune system modulation. Really critical for heart health. I think that's right on the label of the product. This is one of the most important regulatory processes in the body, is the regulation of something that we call homocysteine, which is important to multiple areas of heart and cardiovascular health. And now, last but not least, hormone regulation. So normal methylation is really important for normal estrogen metabolism and balance. So just to kind of give you the picture of the other side of how this looks in health and wellness. So when people are not doing good methylation, we can see changes in many areas of health. And these include in mood, focus and attention. Overall, just brain health and brain aging is impacted by methylation. Heart and blood vessel health, a bunch of things that are important for women's health. This includes healthy pregnancy, but also menstrual regularity, ovarian and uterine health. I think I mentioned with detoxification the importance for liver health. We see some impact here on the health of the skin, immune regulation, digestive function, energy and exercise tolerance. So we really think about this not just with sort of day-to-day energy, but in, say, things like exercise recovery in athletes, and overall just important for cellular health. So not everyone methylates the same. This is why this is important. So some lucky number of people out there are born as really good, efficient methylators. And this is based on your genes. But about 40% of the population has at least one of two genes. And these genes are called MTHFR. I am not going to do a deep dive tonight into MTHFR. That is probably too much for one presentation. And if we want to come back and do sort of do the 200 level science at some point, we can come back and do that. But so around 40% of the population has at least one gene that can reduce their efficiency in how they methylate. Probably more critically is the 10 to 20% of people that actually have two genes that can lead to impaired methylation. And in those people, we frequently see things related to inefficient detoxification, maybe lower neurotransmitter production, changes in cardiovascular health, and more. And Separate from genetics, we also know that lifestyle factors contribute to how well we methylate. In particular, things like poor quality diet, increased stress, and excess exposure to toxins can further impair methylation, even in people without genetic mutations. So, probably where this happens the most, though, is in those people who have that one genetic defect, and then maybe they're super stressed and eating a really poor diet, and now they're going to show some challenges where they might not have shown challenges before. So, how do we support healthy methylation? This is probably the most important slide I have right here. If you want your solid checklist of what you can be doing every day, all the time to support healthy methylation in the diet, I'm guessing a lot of you do most of these things already anyway, but when you're talking to others, eating a nutrient-rich diet, taking good quality supplements, limiting processed foods, moderating alcohol, getting regular exercise, managing stress, getting good quality sleep, maintaining your gut health, and as much as possible, avoiding toxins in your environment. But nutrients are really the key thing. In fact, methylation is one of those things where there really aren't drugs that support methylation. We do all of the, things that we do clinically and nutritionally to support methylation are usually changes in diet and the addition of key nutrients through supplementation. So this is a place where supplementation really does matter. And I'm going to run through the key nutrients that impact methylation and try to keep it, as I said, a little bit on the light side. So probably two of the most important are folate and B12. Folate and B12 are actually just crucial for the methylation cycle. And in particular, we're talking here about the specific forms of folate and B12 that contain that methyl group. This would be methyl B12 and methylfolate. And you'll see those listed on the labels for the BodyWise products. Because these nutrients have that methyl group in them, they're able to donate that for this process of methylation in the body, and probably most importantly, donating their methyl group to a compound called homocysteine to convert it into a safer, more benign molecule called methionine. And this is happening in your body all the time. It's a good thing we don't have to think about these things ourselves, right? Folate and B12 are also important for gene expression by adding a methyl group to DNA when that's needed. And they support the production, again, of neurotransmitters, which can have a positive impact on mood and mental health. That reducing of homocysteine that we talked about, using that methyl group to reduce homocysteine back into methionine, is really important for supporting cardiovascular health. And this same process aids the liver in detoxification by promoting the methylation of certain kinds of toxins from the environment so that we can properly eliminate them out of the body. Probably the next most important molecule here is something called betaine. Actually, when I was learning nutrition in school, we never called this molecule betaine. We called it trimethylglycine. If you can take that word apart and say three methyl groups. There's a lot of methyl groups. We've got some glycine on there, which is also kind of a nice little molecule too. So you can probably already tell from the name of this molecule, it's a powerhouse in terms of being a methyl donor because it's got 3 methyl molecules, whereas your folate and your B12 each only have 1. Betaine is carrying 3 of them around. So this is a really interesting compound that actually supports what we call the backup methylation pathway. This has a long name called the betaine homocysteine methyltransferase pathway. I told you this could turn into a biochemistry method very quickly, but I think most people can remember a backup methylation pathway more easily. This acts as truly as a backup system when you don't have enough active B12 and folate in the body. It is a secondary pathway by which the body can complete all of these important chemical reactions. Separately, this molecule actually makes its own contribution to energy and ATP production. So it's got some special functions there as well. And a few other nutrients of note, riboflavin, vitamin B2, acts as a cofactor for an enzyme in the body that converts dietary folate to methylfolate. So in our supplements, we can just give methylfolate folate in food comes in all kinds of forms, and you can just remember that riboflavin can help take that folate from food and convert it to that active methylfolate form that you can use for methylation. If B2 is low, this enzyme just becomes really inefficient and can contribute to an impairment in the methylation process. Then we have a form of vitamin B6 that's called pyridoxal 5-phosphate. I always thought that was confusing. It's vitamin B6, but it's got a 5 in the middle of its name. Anyway, pyridoxal 5-phosphate is a form of vitamin B6 that is, again, required for an enzyme that actually works on the back end of this cycle, breaking down homocysteine, in this case, into cysteine, which again is another, similar to methionine, another benign molecule, whereas homocysteine is the one that we don't want to accumulate too much of that. So if we don't have enough pyridoxal 5-phosphate, we can get this accumulation of homocysteine, and that tends over time to be not so good for your heart health, brain health, and liver health. And then finally, magnesium. Magnesium is probably involved in almost more chemical reactions than any mineral in the entire body. And if magnesium levels become too low, we can see an overall reduction in the efficiency of methylation in the body. So where does this take us? This takes us to our new product. Methyl-wise, this is just the label. I wanted to just show this to you. This is all of the nutrients that we just walked through in your new product. So you can see we've got the riboflavin in the form of riboflavin 5-phosphate, vitamin B6 as pyridoxal 5-phosphate, your folate in that methylated form, vitamin B12, again, also in a methylated form, magnesium, and then that powerhouse betaine molecule that has the 3 methyl groups in it. And that's what the beautiful bottle looks like. I do want to say one thing just before we get to the end is this is not a new concept entirely for BodyWise. Those of you who are label readers, if you pick up and you look at the labels for even your Right Choice product, we have always provided daily support for methylation for everybody who just takes Right Choice. We put methylfolate, we put methyl B12, and we actually have betaine in the PM formula. So, everybody who's always been taking BodyWise products, even if you didn't know it, you've been ahead of the curve for a really long time in supporting healthy methylation, because we've just been giving you those nutrients if you've been taking Right Choice. So we now have this added support for people who know that they need that additional help with supporting day-to-day methylation. And that's where we stop my presentation now. So
Excellent, Dr.
yeah.
Jacques. Well, you just answered a question just as you did that at the very end. I was going to ask you, because of the betaine, or however you pronounce that, helping develop ATP and giving you energy. I was
Yep.
thinking, okay, this sounds like something you'd take earlier, but then you told me it's in the PMs. So
Yeah.
clearly people
It's a
sleep and get better sleep for
Yeah,
that.
it's a different, so this isn't like energy like you think of like with, caffeine, or even with some of your B
Right.
vitamins where they can
Hmm.
pep you up a little bit. It is more that cellular level energy that you need to be making all the time, right? And it is good to note, because someone will ask me this question now that I've said it. There are different forms of betaine. So the betaine that we have in the Methylwise is something called anhydrous betaine, which is um, it's more concentrated in terms of what it provides nutritionally, as giving those methyl groups. The betaine that we have always had in PMs, and this is a story you'll know, is betaine hydrochloride, which we put in with the minerals because in part we get that hydrochloric acid component that helps us do mineral bioavailability and absorption, right? But bonus, you also have betaine, right? So it's a hydrochloric acid bound to betaine. So you're getting the methyl donors in there as well. Not as many as with the betaine anhydrous.
Excellent. So I'm just blown away. I mean, I got some of this last weekend, but you put a different approach to it a little bit, which I love, by the way. I've got writer's cramp right now because I was writing so many quick notes trying to
I
get your
can send you my
slides.
I
And
can send you my
yeah,
my slides,
well, I
Steve, so you
appreciate
have a
that. Would
copy of
you?
them. Okay,
I would
good.
love that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the good news is
Make it
we're
easier for
recording
you.
this, so we'll be able to
Oh
share
yeah,
those
right.
with
We got
everybody,
that.
which is going to be awesome. I appreciate it. Well, John Paul, I'm going to hand it to you because Dr. Jacques just razzle dazzled me on this thing and covered pretty much every question I might have. The only thing I was concerned with is when best to take it. But she took care of that for me. So I'm brand new. I'm going to just shut up and listen to any questions people have.
Fantastic. Let's open up the lines here for questions. Does anybody have a question or comment for Dr. Jacques? Anybody?
How about this versus cardio wise, since that was for the heart and energy type things?
Yeah, it's a great question, Linda. I mean, I think cardio-wise is really a whole all-around cardiovascular health support formula, right? I mean, you've got support in there for healthy blood fats and, for helping to maintain healthy blood pressure levels. It's really your overall, like, if you just have someone you're talking to and their priority is, I want to do something every day to support the whole health of my cardiovascular system, that's a cardio-wise, in this case, what we're really affecting with cardiovascular health is primarily that area of homocysteine metabolism, which is most important in terms of risk for certain kinds of cardiovascular health. And some people may know, like a lot of doctors now test homocysteine. So you may have people who already know, like, oh, I had a homocysteine test done and mine is always a little bit elevated or kind of above where it should be. Like those people would probably be people that, you'd want to talk to a little bit more about methyl-wise for their cardiovascular health. And some people now, it's increasingly common. People may know that these things even run in their families, or they may have even had a test looking at their methylation genetics. And so they may actually know that themselves already.
Oh, so I was wondering how do you tell if you're methostate or whatever it is?
There's testing available for that, and then that's something that, that people can have access to look at those genetics. It's kind of become more common than people know, but in terms of cardiovascular health, back when we first started talking about some of these things, even when I was first with BodyWise, I don't even 20 something years ago, it was very rare that people would test homocysteine levels, and you had to go to specialty labs, and it was very expensive. It's become a much more routine test now for people to have it. Like I know my doctor does one every year for me, and I think it's more common even if people know that they have cardiovascular health concerns in their family. A lot of times doctors will then run that test.
Okay, and I think you might have said something that made me think about processing the sugar or something. I didn't know if that's similar to a little bit of the reshape, or did I miss?
Don't think I said that specifically. Okay. I think what I may have said is that one of the things that can sort of harm our natural ability to do methylation is eating a poor quality diet.
Okay.
And so, just having a better quality, more nutrient dense diet means you're going to get more of these factors naturally in your diet and, reduce the overall, you'll get fewer toxins and just, reduce the overall stress on this system of the body.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? You may need to unmute yourself to ask a question. Dave Mikas.
Yes, sir. How are you holding up this evening?
We're doing well. It's good to see you again, and we're reuniting you with Bill Farley and Steve Hughes.
Yeah, we had a wonderful weekend out in Oklahoma. It was marvelous. I learned so much from that symposium that we did, but the thing for the group that we're talking with tonight is, with all the oxidative stress and the toxins and the food we eat and the artificial sweeteners and all of that stuff going into our system today, sometimes unbeknownst to us, we're doing so much oxidative damage. And now with the awareness becoming more and more popular, I see it on Facebook all the time of, check your methylation genetic code and that sort of stuff, that when you have 40% or even more that are deficient in methylation or very deficient in methylation, it's even more powerful to look at the nutritional supplementation that Brad has put together for methyl-wise. And I have not taken the genetic test yet. I know a few people have. I just noticed I got back and started taking it this last week after I got back. I noticed some more clarity, focus, some brain energy, a little bit better sense of well-being than I'd noticed before. And hopefully that's not all placebo, but I can definitely tell that. So I'm interested in grabbing one of the tests that we can offer through BodyWise through with the MethylWise program. You can get a discount on doing one of the DNA methylation tests to kind of find out and verify, because it does so much for the neurotransmitter systems going on in our brain today that with all the activity of our youngsters, and I've got 4 pretty active grandkids, that I'd like to know if I'm passing on a genetic code that would really help those in kind of helping on clarity and focus and being able to stay on task, finish processes, and listen to grandpa once in a while and really take note of what's going on. But I think this is an amazing product coming out at just exactly the right time. There's enough knowledge for people to kind of understand a little bit about it and then dive deeper if they want to. But it's an amazing addition to the BodyWise and the science and the promise that we made to talk about optimal health. So really impressed and happy and glad to be part of the process.
Thank you, Dave. We appreciate it, and always that the expertise you bring to the BodyWise Scientific Advisory Board as a pharmacist and as a member of the original Scientific Advisory Board going back, I don't know, 30 years ago or something like that.
Quite a ways back, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Bill, do you have any closing thoughts tonight?
I do. I certainly do. And Dave, great being with you. I just want to say you're passionate about health and helping others and so knowledgeable. And it was great to be with you in Oklahoma. I mean, I think it was really enlightening for all of us. And certainly the camaraderie with Dr. Waja and you and me and the other members of the Steve and the other members of the board, as when we had that special scientific advisory get together. So that was great. I also want to compliment Dr. Jacques. I mean, this tonight, I got to tell you, honestly, I was trying to figure it out for the last couple of weeks. What is this methylation? And I heard a little bit more than I probably needed to or wanted to previously on the genomics and on the science side of it. You get a little bit lost in it. This was very, very well presented. I think in sort of like a common sense approach to here's what methylation is, here's why it's important. Dr. Jacques, I actually have, and historically in my blood test, high homocysteine. And I think probably some of that, by the way, is genetic. Now, I also, and we should mention to people, it's not a big deal to get this genetic test, this DNA test, to see if you've got this MTHFR gene, 1 or 2 of them. I don't have either of those genes that would affect the methylation. So maybe there's something else in my genetic makeup, but my homocysteine has been high. And of course, I think some of you know about 3 years ago, I did have a heart attack and open heart surgery. That was a shocker, by the way. So actually, I have a question for Dr. Jacques before I conclude with my comments, which is, so let's say you don't have any of these, you don't have either one of these genes that might affect methylation, and you're taking a number of supplements, including CardioWise, which I do, and so this is the supplement to all that, right? In the sense of I'm just adding a couple of these key ingredients like B12 and the betaine that you referenced, and of course I'm getting even more magnesium through this product. But how would you, for someone who's taking some of the products, I guess the question was kind of asked, but for someone who is taking the products now, Dr. Jacques, this is just additional support of my system for energy and heart health and so forth. How would you express
I mean,
it?
I think I tried to frame it out as well as I could, right? For someone just generally looking to support heart health, right? We have and always had CardioWise. It's an excellent product for that. I also always throw in a plug for fish oil, omega-3 fatty acids, separately, really good for all of those things. And then, for someone, Bill, like what you're saying is if you already know that you have an indication that you have some elevation of homocysteine, that's a nutritional biomarker. Like, I just want to say this about homocysteine. It's really even though it's tied into methylation, it's really a nutritional biomarker. The only things that regulate it are nutrients. We mentioned them tonight: B12, folate, betaine. I mean, it's something that is really under nutritional regulation. And I think even the best schooled cardiologist would tell you that, right? So it's something that for people who are looking to further support that area of heart health in particular, this is a great add-on to what they're already doing. Or again, for those people who know that they have sort of these genetic indicators, that's sort of probably the top reasons that someone would add this product to a routine that they're already doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Again, I thought it was just a great presentation. Well, I thought it was more, I guess a little complicated product when you get into the genetics and what these genes doing and how you turn them
I
on.
was just trying to do biochemistry light
Yeah,
tonight. There's two layers with this, right? You got the deep stuff when you were in Oklahoma, right? So you can do the big,
Right.
deep
Right.
biochemistry lesson. I
Right.
figure we're going to ease our way in these talks with our bigger community by just starting with methylation 101. Everybody now just got methylation 101, and we'll just peel back the layers as we talk about this. So eventually it'll be just as comfortable as talking about the Krebs cycle.
Well, yeah,
Which
I don't
most
want to.
people
I don't want to
are,
go there. I don't want to
it's
go there.
tough.
So I'm
This
good
is
with
tough
what you
stuff.
did. I thought it was good judgment tonight with what
Right.
you did, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I pretty much understood it. So great, everyone. Again, this will be our last Zoom call. We're going to be doing podcasts from here forward. Thank you all for joining us, and good night, and good night.
Night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.